I am, or I like to describe myself as a serial entrepreneur. Over the last 11 years, I have owned 5 or 6 different businesses. I still own and operate 3 of those. I am a wife and mother. I have 4 children, 15, 13, 11, and 18 months.
Oh my goodness.
So I know a lot about working hard to be productive and not just busy. My educational background is in psychology and mental health. The bigger part of my career has been focused on business development and marketing. I recently took yet another leap of faith, and part of the reason that Jackie and I know each other so well is I translated or moved away from doing marketing and advertising and ownership of my own firm, which I had done successfully for 10 years, and took out just the parts of it that I was passionate about, which was coaching. So I now exclusively executive coach, while I am also a grad student at Wake Forest finishing up my master's degree in clinical mental health counseling. So for all of the busy men and women here, I understand busy very well. I give talks and classes on these types of things, time management, productivity, conflict management. I've taught in an official capacity, but I do it more now for business owners, which has been my market all along through all of my businesses. So today what we're going to go through is identifying where you're struggling in managing your time. Time management is a really nice little buzzword that gets overused, but really what it boils down to is how you're organizing the time that you have. Because as we discussed, some of us discussed outside, we all have the same 24 hours. And if you look at the world, there are people who are uber successful with that 24 hours, and there are people who are in the middle, somewhere, you know, certain level of success, but not where they want to be. And then you have those who are just starting and are not sure how to get organized. So we'll touch on a little bit of that. I am not a big fan of PowerPoints. However, I do have this resource for you, and you will have some other goodies. This is from where I got my training for the Center of Executive Coaching, and it is actually a much more robust than what you have in front of you. So as Jackie mentioned, you'll get one of these after the fact. You'll also get what I charge an exorbitant amount of money to execute with my clients, which is the actual manual for getting you on board. It's 29 pages worth of get your shit in order. Pardon my language. So,
Just a quick question.
Sure.
Do you, as far as executives, do you have anyone who has ADD?
I have one client who suffers from OCD. The difference between coaching and counseling, and of course I have training in both. I'm not a certified counselor yet. That's about a year out. However, the assumption with executive coaching is that you are dealing with mentally healthy patients. Now, ADHD and certain other conditions wouldn't restrict you from getting coached. But we would have to make allowances for it. And sometimes where my skill set is limited, we may need to find somebody else that can assist you with other barriers that are outside of my scope. So I have had clients who are struggling with various different things. But usually in that instance, we take a team approach and we make sure that they have the right professional that they need. In the instance of ADHD, sometimes that can require, you know, a bio component, a medical drug component for management, et cetera, et cetera. So, but what we do with each client in coaching is and I'll go into coaching a little bit more after, but what we do with coaching is we do a 360 assessment. Our focus is on your business goals and your career goals, but we do have to take a look at your life from a 360 perspective. What's your health like? What's your physical health like, mental health like? What's family life like? Because a big part of goal setting and time management is becoming real familiar with your distractions and your challenges. So, but what I will do is towards the end, if anybody wants to talk to me personally about stuff, we can do that, or I will provide a way for you to sign up so that we can I do offer a short, what I call a coaching test drive. And so everybody who's here is welcome to have one of those complimentary so that we can have an initial discussion and see whether or not we can get to the root of some of the challenges you might have. Okay, so to get started, by a show of hands, who struggles with managing their time? All right, that looks unanimous, okay? And then who feels like at the end of the day they haven't gotten as much done as they should have? Again, unanimous. Okay, first of all, know you're not alone. Just by looking around the room, you know you're not alone. But it's a problem for millions of people all around the world at various different levels of success. The difference between people who can manage their time effectively and people who don't is getting to know what your distractions are. So does anybody have any ideas as to what they can identify as one of their distractions? Go ahead.
Smartphone, checking email.
Smartphone, checking email. Okay, anybody else? Netflix, yeah. That's definitely one of mine. Anybody else?
I get lost in the Atlanta Business Chronicle.
Do you? Well, that's one of the better of the three, probably. Anybody else? Yes, ma'am. Other people calling. Okay. So again, we have the same 24 hours in the day. What are, and I'm just going to randomly pick some people, what is the first thing you do when you get out of bed? Outside of, using the restroom, brushing your teeth, those types of things. What's your first activity? Check your email, okay?
Feeding my cat.
Feeding your cats, all right? You read? Like a book or Facebook?
No, a little more like inspiration.
Okay, like devotional, that type of thing? Okay. Anybody else?
Checking LinkedIn.
Checking LinkedIn, okay. All right, that gives you some examples of things that could distract. Now, how many people have a 9-to-5 job? It's good for me to know my audience a little bit. 9 to 5.
I'm a teacher.
You're a teacher. As a mother of 4, thank you. I could never homeschool, Lord have mercy. Okay, so you have maybe not a 9 to 5, but you have how many people are business owners? Okay, so we're about half and half. Somebody mentioned phone calls are a distractor. How could you maybe prevent that? Phone calls from other people, how could you prevent that from being a distraction to you?
Sometimes the phone calls are about business.
Uh-huh.
Other times it's people calling wanting to do stuff.
Right.
When you're tired, people think that
You have all the free time in the world.
yes, you don't have anything else to do. So can you do this? Can you do that? And it kind of takes me away from what I'm doing.
Okay, all right. So if you're able to understand what your distractions are, and I'm a very interactive speaker, this is kind of just the tip of the iceberg of what you can expect for the rest of the talk. But what I want you to do, those who have a pen and paper, it looks like almost everybody does, I want you to write down, especially those that are not comfortable sharing, and that's okay. If you don't want to be called on, you can pass. Write down your top 3 things that eat your time during the day. The next thing I want you to do is rate them, okay? Which beside each one, put how many hours or minutes in the course of a day they take up of your time. All right. The third step is total them all. So you've got 3 things with 3 time frames as to how much time they take in your day. Total that all up for a total amount of hours that you've been distracted in a day. So who has more than 2 hours worth of distraction in their day? All right. Who has more than 3? Okay. I'm not gonna put anybody out on Front Street and ask for any higher numbers than that. So one of the benefits of getting in order and identifying what we've just identified here, which is your distractions, right? One of the benefits of that is less stress, right? Because you can't confront a problem until you've determined and identified what the problem is, right?